Hi. That I've always found it easy to forgive isn't because I am a saint, it's because it makes a lot of sense for my own good. You must understand the enormous effect the ability to forgive can have on your happiness. It's a skill that you must learn and pass on. The fact is that forgiving people tend to be happier, healthier, and more caring. Generally, you come across so much mushy rhetoric about the merits of forgiving that it eclipses the real thing, which is that to forgive is simply the sensible thing to do. Let's discuss it. As we do that, please subscribe to this channel to receive a constant flow of life wisdom. Thank you. So there are 8 things you must understand about forgiveness. Number 1, it's not essentially something that you feel, it's something that you do. One thing I like about religious literature is that it doesn't delve into a person's inner life, it's primarily about what you do. It's not how you feel, but what you do that matters. Forgiveness is a great example of this truth. It's something that you can train yourself to do. As Buddha said, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent to throw it at someone. You are the one getting burned. Second thing, forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation or even interaction with the perpetrator. It's a choice you exercise to free yourself from feelings of bitterness or revenge toward a person or group regardless of whether they deserve your forgiveness. Number 3, you can forgive even if you don't feel it. Forgiveness isn't a mushy feeling glowing with warmth and love for someone who has seriously harmed you. If someone harms my family, there is no way I'll be overflowing with love for them. I can still forgive if I can refuse to get even or take revenge. Number 4, forgiveness has a price. Passing by revenge may not make us feel good inside. In fact, it does the opposite. By surprise worth paying for selfish reasons. In modern society, crime deserves punishment in proportion to its gravity. From that angle, forgiveness may seem unjust in that it represents impunity for crime. By all means, let the law do their job, but on a personal level or at a level below the radar of law, it's a price worth paying. It serves you better and humanity better when you don't kick the can of resentment down the road. Even from the viewpoint of justice, it's almost impossible to get perfectly even. More often than not, there is no end to it as the wheel of anger keeps spinning. Number 5, forgiveness doesn't come naturally to us. It's a skill to be learned. There is no manual explaining how to navigate betrayals and hurts with forgiveness, is there? However, it's not a winding journey as popular psychology would have you believe. It's not easy, but it's simple. Number 6, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It's not about pretending that it doesn't hurt when it does. It's not an invitation to cover up the cracks in a relationship. Look, it doesn't feel good to be hurt. It's okay to be betrayed. No, it's not okay. It's painful to be abused. But it still makes sense to forgive. It's a simple matter of where you go from the grief that follows harm. Do you hang on to an existential resentment leading to the revenge that may be in your power, or do you let go and get yourself ready to move on? The world doesn't owe us fairness. Children are killed and girls are raped and entire groups are subjected to genocide. Justice by law is done and it should be done. but the inability to forgive extracts its own cost. We exist in a fine system of interdependence, and resentment shreds the network of interconnectedness. How many times have we all seen petty squabbles destroying or dividing families? Number 7, forgiveness is closely associated with positive mental health. Individual happiness is tightly linked to the quality of our relationships. Forgiveness is a pervasive phenomenon transcending across time, cultures, and even species. It allows individuals to overcome interpersonal offense not through denial, justification, or vengeance, but through pro-social processes that yield an array of positive outcomes for victim and offender alike. Number 8, forgiveness isn't mindless kindness. It isn't. Kathleen Lawler-Rowe, a psychology professor at East Carolina University, is exploring the relationship between forgiveness and health, both physical and emotional. She says once you forgive someone for something very painful, you never experience life the same way again. You are more flexible, less black and white in your expectations of how life for other people will be. If there is one thing that characterizes people who have experienced forgiveness, is that of larger perspective. I can't predict what life will hand me, but I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond to it in this way. When we forgive, we wrest the control back from the person who hurt us and take charge of how we feel in the present moment. How do you forgive? The problem very often is that we don't know how to forgive. The author of several bestsellers on the topic, Fred Luskin of the Stanford University Forgiveness Project, defines forgiveness as the feeling of peace that emerges as you take your hurt less personally, take responsibility for how you feel, and become a hero instead of a victim in the story that you tell. Forgiveness is the experience of peacefulness in the present moment. So here are 3 things you can do to learn to forgive. Number 1, decide to acquire the skill of forgiveness and then work at developing it. While the gravity of offenses we suffer may vary, the method of forgiveness is the same. Forgiveness begins with the refusal to respond in kind, the refusal to answer backbiting with backbiting and treachery with treachery, the refusal to answer violence with violence. Don't get caught up in content which makes your story of grievance. Forgiveness is a choice you make regardless of the content you're grappling with. For forgiveness, the concept is far simpler than its execution, and thus it can invoke a lot of superficiality. Forgiveness is less of a moral imperative than a practical matter. It involves your self-esteem, the worth of the person who has hurt you, and your relationship with that person and the larger world. It's not about forgetting, rationalizing, or condoning the abuse. It's about changing the story of your future. Forgiveness is not an offshoot of love to be gifted freely to those who have hurt us. No. It's an equation that benefits more the person who forgives. The third thing is start with the decision, the decisional forgiveness. It all begins with a conscious decision to rise above bitterness and rancor, such as telling yourself, I'm not going to seek revenge, or I'm not going to allow that person to make me feel bitter. Take action to surrender any resentment you may hold against someone or yourself. Once you do it, emotional forgiveness gradually follows as the emotions of hatred, resentment, and hostility start to wither. In the end, let me tell you a story to show how forgiveness has the power to heal even nations. It was the dawn of a cold and rainy morning in July 1964 when a prisoner destined to be remembered as Nelson Mandela was brought to Robben Island in South Africa. Soon, it was evident to the Afrikaner prison official that their new prisoner was a natural leader who commanded great deference among the prisoners. Thus, they singled him out for punishment and humiliation. His fellow prisoners have reported how once guards ordered him to dig and descend into a grave-like ditch in the prison yard. Prisoners witnessing the scene wondered whether this was the end of Mandela. Then as Mandela lay in the muck, the guards unzipped their trousers and urinated on him. More than 2 decades later, Mandela's aides asked him to provide a list of the people he wanted to invite to his inauguration dinner as the President of South Africa. One name that Mandela insisted on was that of the jailer who had ordered the incident I just told you. And this isn't just one story. Mandela lived forgiveness. There are just so many incidents showing his incredible capacity to forgive. Mandela wasn't born with this forgiveness, he learned this skill. Same Mandela who had been a recalcitrant and militant young man with an eminently justified rage became an emblem of forgiveness in human history. He mastered the art of forgiveness along the path of his life. So can you if you want. Hope you liked it. Please share your views and experiences about forgiveness in the comment section below. And if you found the discussion useful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.